Namaste and welcome to our Flow and Restore yoga practice. My name is Michelle Chua. And for today, I want to have props around you such as 2 blocks, a strap, a bolster, and a blanket. We're going to be focusing quite a bit on the hips today. We also had a request to focus on opening up the shoulders, so we'll add in some of that. So let's start turning out the thighs in some comfortable seated position in front of you. You might find that it's more comfortable to sit on your folded blanket or pillow or block so that you can allow your thighs to drop open more easily, especially if you have any tightness in the fronts of your hips. So we are now in the last month of December. We have been for the past 9 days. And if you look around here in LA, in California, we see more trees changing colors and losing their leaves. And it just reminds me of how we too, as humans, have our seasons of change. In fact, as impermanence goes, everything is constantly changing. Even the cells in our bodies are dying and renewing itself. Change is the most constant thing about this life. And while it can sometimes feel a little scary because change also means letting go of something that you've been with for a while and having an unfamiliarity as you step into the unknown of what change brings, there's also a gift to impermanence, and it's that we're never really stuck because life is always changing, and so are we. In each moment, we have a choice. We can surrender to the changing flow of life, or we can resist or try to resist the change that is inevitable. And you might know already that when we cling to something that is impermanent, it causes us suffering. And the heaviness of the heart and the mind from that clinging is very visceral and palpable. We can feel it in our bodies, especially when we've been gripping or clinging for such a long time. And surrendering requires trust. Trust that life is ultimately benevolent. And trust in our own ability to be adaptable, to be resilient. And so how do we build this trust? How do we build this confidence in our adaptability? Well, it's one of the huge parts of our yoga practice. Observe the mind. Observe the heart mind. And as we do it repeatedly, adding the mindfulness attitude of curiosity, of compassion, of non-judgment, observing without judgment, so we can really see the stories we tell ourselves, how we might resist change, the fears that arise, and where they are rooted. The more we observe our heart minds in that way, and the more we practice seeing a little more clearly. And this requires not just sitting in formal meditation, like we might do in a yoga class at the end for a few minutes. It requires practice throughout each day. Observing ourselves when we're interacting with the world. Observing ourselves when we're alone. Observing our minds. And so let's bring that into our physical yoga practice, because this is definitely a habit worth strengthening. Ultimately, this awareness that we get from observing allows us to choose inner freedom. And so let's take a moment to observe, starting with your physical body. What have you been carrying in your body throughout today? Do you notice where you have been contracting, where you have been tensing or feeling resistant in your body? Sometimes as a result of resistance in the mind. What information is your body communicating to you at this very moment through the different kinds of sensations that you can notice? Notice your energy level and the quality of your energy. By sensing the breath and how it's moving into and out of your body, no need to control it, just observe it. Observe your mind. What is your mental state right now? What is your emotional state? And let's start to slow the breath down, bringing us even deeper and deeper into the present moment with each breath. As you notice the breath traveling in and expanding in your body, and as you feel the breath release, finding the very bottom of the exhale, you might even give a sound to the breath that's more audible, like when you sigh through your mouth. Allowing the mind to be more present with the breath. As you continue to observe your breathing, I also invite you to continue lengthening it both in and out. As you slow down the breath, inviting your mind and your body to a slower pace of present moment awareness. Invite you to allow a moment to offer gratitude. Gratitude to yourself for creating the space to be in this practice today. Knowing that when we are practicing mindfulness within ourselves and cultivating peace within ourselves, that's the kind of energy that we can share more of with the life that is around us. And gratitude to anyone and anything that you might appreciate, especially today. Begin to set your intention for this practice of clarifying to yourself any qualities of mind, any qualities of energy that you wish to embody and strengthen through this practice. Such as seeing more clearly, or bringing harmony to the different aspects of your being. And then I invite you to choose somebody besides yourself to offer this practice to as a way of extending your loving kindness to somebody else. And together, let's join our voices to open the practice by connecting with the vibrational sound at the very center of our Mother Earth. Om, 3 times. Let in a deep breath. Let's begin a practice that helps us to balance our energy and bring calm and focus to our minds, hearts, and bodies. It's called Ujjayi Pranayama, which means victorious breath. And it's done by closing your mouth, breathing just through your nose, while creating a very gentle whispering sound. That's done by softly constricting the back of your throat. See if you can begin creating that sound and listen to it. Listen to the sound of your breath. As you can hear your breathing, lengthen your inhale to the very top. Lengthen your exhale evenly. Listen to the transitions between the breaths. Invite smoothness to your breathing. Now establish a slow, steady rhythm to the sound of your breathing, and we're going to move to that rhythm very soon. As I mentioned, we're going to be opening up the hips quite a bit today, so let's start standing up in mountain pose. We'll begin to warm up with sun salutation, stepping your feet apart on the ground, hips distance and parallel to each other. Spread your toes and root down firmly through the 4 corners of each foot, standing tall. Join your hands in prayer at your heart center, feeling the energy of your intention you're cultivating through this practice. Let's bring it into how we move our bodies to our breaths as we offer gratitude to the sun in Surya Namaskar C. As you breathe in, sweep your arms forward and overhead, drawing the shoulders back, tilt your chest up. As you breathe out, hinge forward from your hips. Place your fingertips on the ground. Inhale, step the left knee behind you. Kneeling lunge, look up. As you hold your breath, step into plank pose. As you exhale, lower your knees, then chest, then chin in Ashtangasana. Inhale, slither forward, drawing your shoulders back and down in Cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes and lift your hips back into downward facing duck. Inhale, step your left foot beside your left thumb, lower your right knee and gaze up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and bow. Press down to your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and gently coil your chest up. Exhale, gather your palms in prayer at your heart center. Side 2, inhale, sweep your arms overhead and gently coil your chest up towards the sun. Exhale, bow in towards the earth. Plant your fingertips on the ground. Inhale, step your right knee back this time, kneeling lunge, look up. Holding your breath, step into plank pose. Exhale, lower your knees, then chest, then chin. Inhale, slide forward, drawing your shoulders back and down, cobra. Exhale, press back into downward facing duck. Inhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb, lower your left knee and look up. Exhale, step your left foot forward and bow, rooting down to your soles. Inhale, rise, gently coiling your chest up. Exhale, recenter your palms in prayer, mountain pose. Feel the breath in, slowing it down, and listen to the breath out, matching it. Let's move into sun salutation A. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead again in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow forward in Uttanasana. Press your hands on your legs, 2 blocks, or the ground, and inhale, stretch your spine forward into half forward fold. Hold the breath as you step to plank, and this time as you exhale, glide forward, graze your elbows by your ribs through Chaturanga Dandasana, then inhale to Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Exhale into Downward Facing Dog. Let's allow a few breaths in Downward Dog to move your body any way you might need to loosen it up. Pedaling your feet in place, swiveling your hips side to side, shaking and nodding your head. Listen to the quality of your breath. Keep that slow, steady rhythm that you can hear. Empty this next breath before you walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat, forward fold. Press with your hands. Inhale, lengthen to half forward fold or Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold Uttanasana. Press to your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms forward into Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, join your hands in prayer in Padasana. Once more. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen Ardha Uttanasana. Step to plank or float into Chaturanga Dandasana or lower knees, chest, chin, choosing your vinyasa. Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Exhale, Downward Facing Dog. Now from here, we're going to add on. Press your fingers spread into the ground and inhale, lift your right leg back. As you exhale, bend your right knee and turn out your right thigh at the hip. Stay there. As you inhale, draw your left hip back. As you exhale, bend your right knee towards your nose, rounding forward in plank. Lightly step the foot beside your right thumb into a high lunge. Inhale, rise up into crescent pose. Pause for just 1 cycle of breath. Then spin your left heel down and enter Warrior Two to your left, aligning your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot. Bending your right knee just above the ankle. Press the outside edge of your left foot into the earth. Turning out the right thigh, wrap the outer hip under you, and firm the top of your left thigh bone back. 2 more breaths. Virabhadrasana 2. Straighten your front leg. Let's slide the hips towards the back wall in triangle pose. Reach the torso forward. Lower the right hand on the right shin or just to the right of it. As you extend the left arm up, wrap the tricep to point at the left wall and then extend that left arm overhead for extended triangle pose. Now keep wrapping your right outer hip under you and tack the crease of your right hip back towards your left outer heel. Lengthening the right side of your torso, slide the shoulders down your back. Last breath here in Utthita Trikonasana. Now look at the ground ahead of your right toes and steady your breathing. Walk your right fingertips upper right corner of your right foot, entering half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. Flex your left foot as it leaves the ground. Open up your chest towards the left wall. Steady your gaze to help find your balance and listen to your breath. With a slow exhalation, gently step back to Warrior Two. Then flip the right palm to face up. Inhale, Peaceful Warrior, side bend towards your rear wall. Ride your exhalation down into a vinyasa or cat-cow. Back to downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, listen to your breath. Inhale, raise your left leg back. Exhale, bend the knee and turn out your thigh at the hip. Staying there, inhale, draw your right hip back. Then exhale, rounding into plank, bend the left knee towards your nose and quietly step the foot beside your left thumb in a high lunge. Inhale, rise up to crescent pose, then pause for one cycle of breath. Turn to your right side in warrior two. Align heel to arch. Wrap the left sitting bone under. Firm the top of the right thigh bone back. And let your eyes rest just in front of your left hand. Couple more breaths. Triangle pose, straighten the front leg, glide your hips sideways towards your rear wall, lengthen the torso forward, and lowering your left hand on your shin or just to the left of it, extend your right arm overhead as you spin the tricep to face the right wall and the ground. Extended triangle pose. Send your shoulder blades both down your back ribs as you spin your chest slightly to face the sky, landing your gaze or drishti for two more breaths. Utthita Trikonasana. Look at the ground in front of your left toes and steady your breathing as you transition to half moon pose. Crawl the left hand upper left corner of your left pinky toe on a block or the floor. Drag in your right foot and flex it as it leaves the ground. Ardha Chandrasana. Land your gaze. Listen to your breathing. Bring that non-judgmental observation of yourself here. Notice your mind. With a slow exhale, gently step back to warrior two. Flip the left palm to face up. Inhale, peaceful warrior. Ride the exhale down into your version of vinyasa or cat-cow. Back to downward facing. Pause for two slow cycles of breath. Notice what you feel in your body. When you've emptied the second breath, walk or float to the front of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen to half forward fold. Exhale, fold, bring your feet together to touch. And you may want to place a couple of blocks on their tallest height, about a foot in front of your feet, as wide apart as shoulders distance. Then bend your knees together, sit back towards your heels in chair pose. All right, one more balancing hip opener, figure four shaped chair pose. So join your hands at your heart, turn out your right thigh at the hip and flex your right foot. As you cross your right ankle on top of the left thigh, splay the right thigh open and equally draw your sitting bones back and down, firming in the belly. Steady your gaze, steady your breath. You could stay right here. You could extend the arms overhead. You could go further into the hips by lowering your hands on blocks to the floor. For those of you that like the challenge of arm balancing, there's an option to place the hands flat on the ground, a foot in front of the front foot. Cross the right shin on top of both upper arms into flying single pigeon pose. Last 4 breaths. Figure 4 chair pose. Bring your hands to the heart center. Breathe in. And exhale, stand. Mountain pose. Pause here and just observe yourself for a moment. Observe your breathing. Bending your knees together, let's sit back in Utkatasana, chair pose. Turn out your left thigh and flex your left foot. Cross the left ankle over your right thigh and splay open your left thigh. As you draw both sitting bones back and down, you might extend the arms overhead. You might place the hands down on blocks or the ground, maybe the arm balance. Stay aware of your breathing. 4 more breaths. Come back to figure 4, chair pose. Join your hands at the heart. Breathing in. And exhale to mountain pose. This time you might want to rest a hand to heart center, a hand to your lower belly, tuning inward. Let's step up to the front of your mat for one last vinyasa. Joining your hands in prayer, reconnect to your intention for this practice, and let's flow with that. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead into a gentle back bend. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen forward, step or float into your version of your vinyasa. Pausing in down dog, cultivate stillness for 2 deep breaths. Let's continue with our hip openers here. Turning out your right thigh at the hip. Cross your right shin in front of your pelvis and lower to sit, single pigeon pose. As you straighten your left leg behind you, place your hands alongside your hips and take a moment to turn both of your frontal hip bones to equally face forward. You could place a prop under your right glute if there's a gap between it and the ground. If your right shin is parallel to the front edge of your mat, make sure to flex your right foot to stabilize your right knee while you're in this pose. Relax your left toes and lift your heart. Little by little, begin to bow forward, resting your forehead, your torso on any props that you may need so that you're not trying to hold yourself up with your arms, but instead you're surrendering your torso towards the earth in this pose. Now we're going to be here for 3 minutes before we switch sides. So take a moment to adjust your body if needed so that you can relax a little more into stillness. And I invite you during those 3 minutes of stillness to scan your attention throughout your body, onto your breathing, and into your mind. Notice what you notice. allow one more slow exhale. And then take your time lifting your torso, gently stepping back into downward facing dog. You could either hold still there for a few breaths or raise your right leg and shake it out, circle it out at the hip. Before entering the second side, just notice how your body feels. Notice how your hips are responding to that one side of the pose. Take your time to mindfully transition to the second side. Turning out your left thigh at the hip, cross your left shin in front of your pelvis, and lower to sit with your right leg straight behind you, tucking the toes. Plant your hands beside your hips and turn both hips to equally face the front of your mat, using a prop under the left glute if needed. Untuck the back toes if your left shin is parallel to the front edge of your mat. Flex your left foot in this pose. And then lift your heart, stretch the front of your torso, and take your time relaxing your torso and head all the way down. Adjusting the props as you might need so that you can fully let go of holding your body up and just surrender. Practice what we were talking about in the beginning. Surrendering. Feel the physical energy of it. We're here for 3 minutes. All right, one last slow exhale here. Be very gentle and gradual as you transition back to downward facing dog. Either holding still or raising the left leg and moving it at the hip. Observe your body. What do you notice? From here, let's turn to face the wide width of the mat. So step 1 foot between the hands and turn your torso to face the wide width of the mat. Come into a straddle leg position of sitting, lowering all the way down to the ground or on props to sit on to help your spine lengthen upright. Cup the top of your thighs with your hands and rotate your inner thighs back. Root your sitting bones down. And keep your knees pointing upwards the whole posture, even as we bow forward eventually. You may want to place props in front of you to catch your forehead, your torso, make them as thick or as thin as you need. So again, you're not holding yourself up. You're completely surrendering the torso and head in this pose. And take your time, crawling your arms forward. And once again, we're going to be in this posture for 3 minutes. And we're down to one last breath here. Take your time lifting your head, your torso. Now let's bring the hands to the outer thighs and slide your legs close together. All right, we're going to come into another hip opener, and this one is cow face pose. Getting a little deeper into the outer hips, thighs, and glutes, and releasing the lower back. So if you may need something to sit on so that you're more upright in the spine, feel free to sit on your folded blanket or your pillow. And you may want to have a strap nearby, as we're also going to be opening the shoulders here. So turn out your right thigh and cross it over your left thigh as much as you can. Bending both knees, splay the feet apart, or keep the bottom leg straight, whichever allows you to evenly root downward through your two sitting bones. And then you may want to hold the strap in your left hand here. Raise the left arm. Rotate the left tricep forward. Bring the elbow behind your head and press your shoulders down. Reach the right hand behind you underneath. Catch the bottom end of the strap. Then walk your hands as close together as you can. If your hands clasp, then you can let go of the strap. Try to keep your left elbow pointing upwards in line with the crown of your head. Now sit up a little taller as you press down through your legs and pelvis as you breathe in. Relax the shoulders. Keep your throat open. Keep your shoulders relaxed. And little by little, as you breathe out, bow forward from your hips. We're going to be here for about 2 minutes before we switch sides. You can also rest your forehead on a block if that's helpful. One more deep breath. And pressing downward through your pelvis, lead with your chest and slowly rise up. Release your arms and cross your legs. And let's pause in stick pose, just sitting up with the legs straight in front. Pause for a few breaths. Just let your awareness scan your body. Let's turn out the left thigh at the hip. Cross it over the right thigh and either keep the bottom leg straight or bend both knees, splay both feet apart. This time hold the strap in the right hand. If you're going to use it, dangle it behind you as you raise the right arm. Rotate the right tricep forward. Bring the elbow behind your head and press your shoulders down. Reach the left hand behind you underneath to catch the bottom end of the strap. Then walk your hands as close together as you can. Try to keep your right elbow pointing upwards in line with your crown. Lift the chin slightly, open the throat, seal the front ribs in, and press downward to stretch the spine taller as you breathe in. Exhale little by little, hinge forward from the hips. 2 minutes in Gomukhasana. Last deep breath here. And pressing the pelvis down, lead with your chest to slowly rise. Release your arms, stretch the legs forward, and pause to sit in Dandasana again. Noticing anything you feel in body, mind, breath, energy. So I'm going to invite you now into a restorative posture that will remain in for Shavasana. It's a combination of Supta Baddha Konasana, supine bound ingle pose, and supported fish pose. More for the shoulders, more for the hips. So let's start by placing your 2 blocks behind you as you sit towards the center of the mat. 1 block at the tallest height, way far back. This will be your pillow. 2nd block on the 2nd level height, across the width of the mat, spaced from the furthest block about 5 to 6 inches towards you. And then place your blanket, sorry, I'm gonna have to take this one. Open it up and roll it up so that it's a long, smooth, firm burrito. We're going to tuck the ends of this burrito underneath our outer thighs as we lie down with our knees bent and splaying open soles of the feet together, so that this will give us a snuggle feeling of safety to really open up the thighs. So sit down so that when you lie back, the area that's just beneath the bottom tips of your shoulder blades rests on the first edge or the closest edge of the closest block. So set up your legs, excuse me, Bodhi. Bend your knees apart, cross the center of your blanket on top of your inner ankles and tuck the ends of the blanket under your outer thighs. Lie back, land on the closest block, adjust it so that it feels symmetrical and opening up the fronts of the shoulders, drop the shoulder bones back, and then rest the back of your skull on the furthest block. Adjust the height of it, so if you want to go deeper into the shoulders, you can tilt the block under your head lower, So the block under your rib cage is higher in comparison. And then let the shoulder bones roll back. Slide your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Turn the palms to face up, down by your thighs. And see if your lower body needs any adjustment so that you can invite a sense of symmetry along the left and the right hemispheres of your entire body. Closing your eyes, relax your face, all the muscles in it, including your jaw. Let your shoulders become heavy as you relax your arms and hands. Let your belly become soft. Relax your pelvic floor. And let your feet become soft. And then I invite you now to slowly allow a breath to fill up, in your mind's eye, your entire body, especially any areas that still feel tense or rigid. Hold the breath in at the top. Sip in a little more if you can. Even slower than the inhalation, exhale to your lips as smoothly as possible. Feel the emptiness at the very bottom of the breath. And let's try that one last time, breathing in at your pace. Imagine breathing into your whole body. Hold it at the top for as long as you comfortably can, and maybe try to sip in a little more. And this time when you exhale really, really slowly, can you allow the bones of your body to surrender more easily so that you feel a deeper sense of letting go? And from here, do let go of controlling your breathing. Do let go of exerting any effort in your body. Feel your presence. Shavasana. As your eyes remain closed, bring your awareness back to your physical body. Notice how your body feels right now. Notice the sensations that are alive in you. Listen to how your body wants to start waking up. And gradually, please begin to move and stretch, being gentle. Taking your time to turn over onto your right side and rest your head. As you pause on your side, become aware of your breathing. And notice how your energy feels now. And then slowly lift your body up, finding a comfortable way to sit where you can feel alert, grounded, and relaxed. Preparing to sit for 5 minutes of meditation where we continue to observe our heart minds. Continue this practice. You may want to place your hands in a mudra such as stacking the right palm face up over the left palm face up on your lap with thumbs gently touching. You might also close the eyes or steady a gentle gaze downcast. Let's begin just feeling the breath move in and out naturally. Feeling your presence and observing where your attention goes. Observing how you feel. Not analyzing, just observing without judgment. Notice how your mind and heart feel now. What did you notice about your mind? Did you observe any patterns of where your attention went and how it felt? Becoming more and more aware of our tendencies of mind can help us to choose our attention, to choose our focus and where we direct our energy on a day-to-day, moment-by-moment basis. As I mentioned in the beginning, inner freedom is a choice. It's a constant choice that our practice supports us with. As we bring closure to this formal practice, I invite you to acknowledge someone who has supported you today on this journey of befriending your mind. Anybody you would like to acknowledge with gratitude. Then remember your intention. How will you bring this awareness of mind into the rest of today and tomorrow? Remember to whom you dedicated today's practice. And together, let's join our voices, chanting Om, feeling the resonance we've created together, and singing that out to share vibrationally with the energy around us and within us. Let in a deep breath. And bowing in, honoring the light within. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.